What's going on, everybody? It's me, Mark. Welcome to another episode of Blerdkast Live. And tonight, and I know I say it every week, but tonight we have a very, very special episode. We are talking about a dream deferred, things that we wanted to do, but where we ended up, where we are now. But before we begin, of course, I would like to have a moment of joy and welcome my co-host and mod for tonight, Ms. Joy Stevens. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing well. Glad to be here. I'm excited for this conversation tonight because I identify a lot with what we're going to talk about. But my name is Joy Stevens. As Mark said, I have a YouTube channel called A Moment of Joy. You can catch today. As a matter of fact, I just dropped a new episode about what not to do in your resume. But aside from that, my passion is finding out what other people are doing and how they got there. I love this sort of interview. So that being said, we have a huge roster tonight. Rather than me spend all my time talking, I'm going to ask you all to introduce yourselves. And I'll start with, on my screen, I have Afua next to me, if you would be so kind.
Hello. My name is Afua Richardson, and for the past 20 years, I have worked as a comic book artist for Marvel, DC, Image. I've worked on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, HBO's Lovecraft Country, and predominantly Black Panther, World of Wakanda. I'm also a writer and cosplayer. It's hard to call myself a cosplayer, honestly. I'm not as amazing as some of the people on this roster today, but I do my best.
You do your best. And I have to say, I have a disproportionate amount of your artwork hanging up behind me. You can see it over there. And then your Orinthia Blue, I have that. It's off screen. But you got a lot of stuff. I just thought about that.
So welcome. Much. Thank you for giving my artwork a home.
Not a problem. And next up we have Sebastian.
Hi guys, my name's Seb and I run Stranger Comics. I guess I'm mostly known for the fantasy world of Asunder and a character called Nui, this girl right here. Blip, 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 blip. So we've been publishing Stranger Comics for 17 years, which is bonkers. And we just dropped our first Afro anime sizzle trailer for the animated feature, and in development now with Viola Davis to make all the things. So exciting times at Stranger Comics. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, welcome. Glad to have you here. We'll keep going around clockwise, for me at least. Alan.
What's up, guys? My name is Alan Z. I'm a musician and actor. So on the music side, I have music on Netflix, the CW, and HBO Max and stuff like that. On the acting side, I'm really excited to announce that I'm in the new Boots Riley movie, I Love Boosters, with Keke Palmer, Demi Moore, Lakeith Stanfield, Don Cheadle, Will Poulter, Taylor Page, Isa Gonzalez, Naomi Aki. There's a lot in there. And the official trailer actually just dropped today and I'm in it. So I feel really good because I hate when I tell people this and they're like, oh, sure, Alan. So nobody believed me until they see me and now they're like, oh, I saw you in the film. So I'm really happy that I made the trailer so people can stop thinking I'm lying. But so I'm very excited to be a part of such a huge, massive, masterpiece. And I'm excited for you guys to see too when it comes on May 22nd.
That's awesome. I'm gonna be like, I knew you win. And this congratulations.
Yeah.
Cutiepie, Sensei.
Yeah, hi. So I am Cutiepie Sensei on the internet. Y'all can just call me Jasmine because I feel like it's weird to call anyone Cutiepie in real life. So my name is Jasmine. I didn't think about that before I chose my name. I am a former senior concept artist for the game Smite, so it's my job to draw all the cool skins and stuff in the game. I am most commonly known as a professional cosplayer online, as well as the CEO of my clothing brand Firaxwear, where we create pop culture inspired clothing pieces. We have a brand new collection coming out literally in the next couple of weeks that I am not allowed to talk about yet, but just keep your eyes peeled on this space. Follow Firaxwear if you're interested, and we are still doing some stuff with My Hero Academia officially with Crunchyroll and Toho Animation, and I am the first Black woman to have a official partnership with Crunchyroll and Toho Animation, so it's been very, very exciting. So yeah, lots of things.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, and last but not least, we have Kumu Manu.
Hi. I'm not as creative as all of you. I work in corporate America as a lawyer during the day. And then outside in my very public life, which is like private from the offices, I get to direct and I'm a fight actress. I'm one of the highest ranking females in the Hawaiian art of Lua, which is the only indigenous art, warrior art, the people of Hawaii. Which was nearly lost, and women have been erased from storytelling, like all of the other indigenous women warriors in the last couple, 3 centuries, I would say. I've also earned my PhD in metaphysical counseling, which I have several books. One is based solely on the weaponry of our art. So lots of sharp teeth and wood, rocks, and natural weaponry in honor of my late teacher. But the last two that I have been able to publish is the archetype of the woman protector, because we're not used in the same way as male warriors, and then the butterfly effect. So if you're familiar, it's the stages of transformation and making it more of a religious practice versus a one and done type thing. And so I get to impact media in different ways, specifically having to do with warrior women and us finding our voice. And so that's how I get to impact the world these days.
That is amazing.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Thank you for everybody in the chat. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm happy to have you. We'll be taking questions from our audience. So if while we're talking, you have an idea or you want to find out more about anybody on screen or have a question for everyone, feel free to ask the question. But I'm going to start with my first question, which is, considering the discussion for today is a dream deferred, what pivots and alternatives has your life taken so far? What did you want to be when you were young? When you say, I want to be this when I grow up, what was that? And how does that track with where you are? I'll start.
Who's going?
Yeah,
I was like, wait, who's going first?
Jump in.
Right? Exactly.
Jump in. Anybody excited that has something they want to share? I see.
I'll go first. So it's kind of weird. I always knew I wanted to be an artist. My dream was actually to become a concept artist. And it was a weird journey for me because I kind of ended up achieving my dream very quickly. Because it's a very competitive field, I feel like. And so I was really blessed to be in a position where it's like, oh, I get to like draw fantasy characters every day for a living. And that was really cool. And then on the side, I started doing cosplay, and at the time it wasn't a thing that was like a job. It was just a hobby. It wasn't like social media wasn't what it is right now. And as time went on, it like grew and grew, and I kind of wasn't being fulfilled by work in the same way that I thought I would be when I was a kid. Like I thought, like, if I do this job, that's it, I'm gonna be happy forever. And I did enjoy my job, but as my cosplay grew, as well as like starting my business and having the clothing business also kind of grow, like I was able to use skills that I was still using via concept art, but in a different way. And for the longest time, I was considering quitting my concept art job. I was dragging my feet for at least a year. And at the end of 2024, I was planning to quit. And sometimes God sees you dragging your feet and is like, look, I need to make this decision for you. And so they did major layoffs at my company. So instead of quitting, it actually ended up being better because I got severance. So it was like, okay, I see the sign. Fine, I will do this full time. And so now I'm doing like social media and my clothing business full time. So I had my dream, I did my dream, and then it kind of changed as I started doing it. Yeah.
You refined it and found a new way. And one shout out for the severance package, because that's how I ended up where I'm right now.
Oh shit! Sorry, our alarm went off.
Anybody else want to
Sorry,
address
guys.
this question? No worries. You can mute if you need to. I think I saw Afua wanted to respond.
I when I was 3 years old, I was in preschool, and the teacher asked everyone, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said, "The President of the United States." And she turned her head sideways and said, "I'm sorry, honey, that's a man's job." And I was like, "Oh."
Mm.
And I'm like, "Well, I want to be Michael Jackson." She's like, "I'm sorry, that's a man's job too." I'm like, "Well, what else is there?" But I started playing the flute when I was 9. Went to LaGuardia for the performing arts, did an undergrad at Juilliard, played the flute, learned to read sheet music, composed, joined this all-female hip-hop group as a beatbox artist and an anime artist. I would take all of the girls in this all-female hip-hop crew of B-girls and breakdancers or same thing, MCs and singers, and turn them into anime characters and make flyers for our performances.
Oh.
And so I started performing and going on tour. I became a background singer. I got to open for Alicia Keys, Parliament Funkadelic, John Legend. I'm dating myself. I was on Soul Train, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon.
But you wanted to waste your life being president. What's wrong with
you? I felt like the music that I wanted to make, which was more like electronic, neo soul pop, didn't really exist in that time, so it wasn't really easily understood by the record executives that I was trying to explain it to, because that was the gateway I had to go through in order to make it. But since I already utilized graphic design and illustration in my job, going to a comic convention, I was like, wait a second, you don't have to have a manager to make a demo, to get a showcase in front of an A&R, to speak to the head of Sony. You can just walk up to your favorite artist and have a conversation. This is crazy. So I went to New York Comic Con when it was just in one tiny room, and there might have been 50 artists. And I just started speaking to people, having conversations, asking them how they liked working in this business and what I could do to become a better artist. And they were very gracious, some more so than others, but they were very kind. Brian Stelfreeze, Sanford Green, Karan Grant, even Neil Adams, Gail Simone, Celia Kyle, even Aletha Martinez was the first Black woman I saw sitting behind a comic book table, and I was terrified. I was just like, there she is, a unicorn in the wild, and it's her job to just ink Iron Man. There is no backup. This is just her job. And she granted me the psychological permission to even try to become an artist. Because I didn't go to school. I was completely self-taught. And so some of my friends were comic artists, and they introduced me to their editors and writers. And my first anthology was for Image Comics on a book called 24/7, written by Ivan Brandon, about everything alive in New York City being robots. And it was just slice of life stories about these different robot relationships. And after that, I just started getting cover after cover. I was still working as a singer, but I just felt like I couldn't be myself and be successful there. I couldn't just be as I was. I had to lose 40 pounds. I had to get paired with a rapper. I had to sing things that, wasn't really my style. Right. But in comics, I could just be. I was like, I can just be what I wanted to be and make what I wanted to make and be hired to do that. And so I'm like, wait, all I have to do is be better? Great. Great. I'm in classical music, where if you have to battle to the death for the 2 spots in the Philharmonic, I'll happily, not compete and just compete with myself and try to be the best person that I can. So while I was working at a Jingle House, which is a production company in Soho that makes music for commercials, I was voice acting for commercials, which is basically singing like everything but how you sound. Right. Like you have to sound like everybody else except genuine you. And during my lunch breaks, I learned Photoshop and taught, and just
on your
try to
breaks.
improve. Yeah, on my lunch breaks, I taught myself Photoshop, having like office jobs, and then I just started getting hired more, and it made more sense to do comics than it did music. So 20 years later, here I am.
You are, I'm actually, I want to jump to Alan around this because you mentioned a lot of things in the music industry, and I'm seeing Alan nod his head like, yep. So,
Yeah.
Alan, talk to us about what you thought you wanted to do and what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. So, like when we were in elementary school, and they're like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" In like third grade, I wrote I wanted to be a rapper, and that has never changed, right? For like the longest time, and I've always I told myself, I'm like, like when I get older, I'm gonna get signed by Eminem and Dre, because at that time, like it was like the 50 Cent machine, like that was what I wanted in life, and I was like severely bullied for just this dream I had, and I never stopped because I would just constantly chase this dream, and I would like audition for labels, and I would go I would do ciphers, I would battle people like 13-year-old Alan, just like in like a nightclub, just like battling, and I just wanted this so bad, right? And up to college, and I would like get offers from like major labels, and the first time I had like I guess like a real shot was this group called Full Force. If you guys remember, like they were
I know Full Force very well.
Kurt from Full Force like found me on YouTube. He's like, "Oh, this guy's like raps like Eminem. He sings like Chris Brown, and he's Asian." He's like, "We need to do something with him." So I did like a development deal with him. And then the first thing like he said was like, "I mean, we want you, but like you're Asian. What are we gonna do with you?" And so for a long time I was just in limbo, right? And then I switched over, and I was under management by the business manager for Entre 3000 from Outkast. Same thing. They were like, "Oh, you're Asian. I don't know what to do with you." And mind you, this is like before K-pop. I'm much younger, and so I kept being told like I will never hit mainstream because of my race. It was consistently like, you're everything we want. You're talented. You're good looking. It's just your race. And so I had terrible self-esteem issues, right? And then I said, okay, I'm just gonna go independent. But the issue with going independent is the speed I go at is much slower, and I'm seeing people just go past me with the machine, and I'm just feeling so much like sadness, And then around like 2019, as I'm building this like organic fan base by myself, I just felt like the weight of the world. Like I don't know what to do at this point, because I feel like no matter what, I'm losing this race, right? And so I knew that there's another passion I have, which is acting, and I was like, you know what? If I don't try this in my lifetime, I'm gonna regret it for the rest of my life. And so like 2 years later, I started seriously acting. Like I did independent films and student films to like get my reps up. 2023, I got signed to an agency, and in 2024, I did a film called Traction Park Massacre that premiered at New York Comic Con last year. And then I did the latest thing I did was the Boots Riley movie, All the Boosters, with Kiki Palmer. And so I was like, man, I've been doing music for like 10 plus years, and like everyone, like there's so much resistance like of me being like, you're not good enough, you're not going to be mainstream. And then I started like acting 2-3 years ago, and then like this, you know what I mean? I was like, this is God telling me like I need to change the course. And the irony is, as I got like more into acting, my music got better, because I just kind of let go of this like idea of like corporate industry structure. I'm just like, I want to write art for the sake of art, right? And now I get people like telling me like, oh, your music has changed my life. And this is the music that I felt like the industry wouldn't accept, because it's more lyrical, it's more like smart and conscious, it's more like nerdier in terms of references, like a lot of the stuff that they were against. And now people are like, I love this song because you talk about da-da-da, like instead of me following a certain structure. So I think the dream deferred was, okay, like even if I don't become like a huge like artist in the mainstream sense, if I can hit it as an actor, as a filmmaker, then I still feel like, like I did my part as a, my contribution to the world.
And you could turn it around like Jamie Foxx, because he wanted to be a singer.
Right.
He's a great comedic actor, got an Oscar and everything, and then dropping albums. So
yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't think he ever did a stand-up routine where he didn't sit at the piano and sing.
Well, no, I mean, I also forgot to say this too. I'm still working on music. I have 2 albums I'm working on, so I'm releasing a new album this year. So I'm still doing it. It's just I feel like the pressure of like succumbing to, I'm sure Afua can speak to it too, but the idea of like a label or a manager being like, well, you should change this about you. Have you thought about getting tattoos on your face? Have you thought about, getting addicted to this kind of drug so that you're more marketable? Have you thought about shooting somebody? Like there's all these like terrible ideas that they have for me that I'm just like, I'm going to let go of every single terrible advice and just like listen to my gut,
Yeah. And if I may interject,
yeah, sure,
like
sure.
Full Force, I have not heard that name like Bow-Legged Lou had written some songs for me, and
Oh,
I was just like,
wow.
I don't like this. I'm sorry. He's like, you're an actress, pretend. And I'm like, oh. I was like, thank you, so gracious.
You're
I'm
not the
kidding.
one to get love it.
I will say, like, the thing that I got, this is the last thing I'll say, and I'll pass the mic. The one thing that did last between the relationship with me and Full Force was I got a song with Raphael Sadiq and Shanice Wilson out of it.
Nice.
So it's like I have that
They
credit.
connected.
It's on
They
Sony.
were skilled. They
Yeah.
were, they just had their ideas and nothing could deviate from that.
They were like that too. I mean, no shade to them, but I mean, I reached
not at
out
all.
to her,
Not at
and we talked it out. Everything's good. And he hit me up. He's like, bro, you're blowing up. Da, da, da. So it's like, it's all love. It's just, I think sometimes we have to go our own way for them to see what we can do, right?
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly. They can't live in our heads, so I can't expect them to understand what it is that I want to do.
Right.
It's the same thing that you see even in like the tech world and academia, et cetera. There is a formula that is accepted, and then there's people that buck the system, skirt the system, and they find themselves
Right.
being successful without the machine, which can sometimes aggravate the machine, but that's a them problem, not a you problem.
Right.
Sebastian, what about you? You say you've been doing this for 17 years? Did you say?
Yeah, a long time. Kind of nutty, really. So I grew up in England, and
Really?
yeah, kind of a shock, right? I don't know if you can tell. I've been working on my accent for around about 52 years now, and hopefully it's finally coming into its own. But yeah, no, I started creating this fantasy world when I was a kid. I was 13, and I was in the boarding house, and I was kind of getting picked on for being mixed and all this kind of stuff. This was the 80s, right? And talking about dating, right? And dating yourself. And so I started creating this fantasy world, playing D&D, Lord of the Rings. Hey, turn 1 second, buddy. Move to a little bit to right. You move to the right a little bit. Thanks. Thanks, bro.
I'm gonna tell you, we did
You're
not
my
see-
shot.
we did not see him until you said something.
So I started creating this world to kind of hide within, a little bit. And I started creating this character Niobe to, I guess, take on my insecurities and my fears, but also my wrath onto her winged shoulders. And as I grew, she grew with me. And the world I was creating around her kind of grew. And then I moved to America when I was 18. I wanted to be a famous movie star. Maybe you can tell by this angle, it did work out, I started acting, doing a lot of modeling, GQ stuff when I was young and pretty. Back in the days, I did like about 100 commercials and things. I don't know. But I had my first love was music, all day music. And so I started running a record label. I put out 25 albums, historical albums in blues, jazz, funk, soul, rare beat, stanky funk. So we're regarded as the premier record label if you wanted to have a audio encyclopedia of roots American music, you came to my label, MVP Records. And during that time, I was creating these worlds and things. And I started, and then Napster came along and said, hey, we can download all this stuff for free. You're in trouble, kid, And during that time, I was doing a lot of live action playing, like hitting people with rubber swords in the forest and dressing up. I would say not really a cutie pie, but more of a deranged, my mum's bathrobe running around in the forest kind of guy. And created kind of a cult following in live action role playing. But I started shopping around these ideas that I had for my fantasy world to different publishing companies. And a lot of them were like, I didn't want to run another company again, right? Running a record label, as Alan and Afua could probably tell you, the record businesses, record people are shady, right? It's true story. I have many a story in every type of scary situation you could imagine. I was like, I'm gonna make comic books. That seems fun, And I'm gonna pour all of my creations into these worlds. And I grew up loving comics. So to kind of answer your question, I think I wanted to just tell stories, and I found myself telling stories through the compilations of the music that I felt like a bit of a gatekeeper into. If you want to learn about Alex Coltrane, you want to learn about Robert Johnson, you want to see how the world kind of connects, and I'd write the album liner notes. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And so transfer that to me writing my first script, and my mum said, you should be a plumber. You don't know what you're doing. And I was like, thanks, Mom. I can barely hang a picture up, but I'll just continue with this journey. And so every different publishing company I took Niobe to in the world of Asunder, they said, Black comics don't sell enough. Female-led comics don't sell enough. Fantasy comics definitely don't sell enough unless it's a one-off. And I'm like, I'm doing all three. So I stuck it all on a credit card and going through a tough situation at the time, sleeping in my car and the office and all sorts of craziness I was dealing with. I was like, I'm going to start my own company to protect the integrity of Niobe and the rest of the world of Asunder that I was creating, which I modeled Stranger Comics on 3 companies. HBO for storytelling, the Deadwood, The Wire, Sopranos, Taschen for presentation. Like, this is our new hardcover, which plug is currently on Kickstarter right now, which is a beautiful, look at this dust jacket right here. Look how lovely that is. Crazy stuff. I wrote this with the actress Tuso Mbedu from The Woman King. We went to Comic Africa, kind of crazy. And so, yeah, we started telling the Marvel universe of fantasy. We've been optioned by HBO, development, all that stuff. So all that to say is I feel like I'm kind of living the dream on a credit card budget, you know, doing it the independent way and not independent Silicon Valley funded independent.
Right. Not venture capital funded, yeah.
Yes, it's all funded by WonderCon last weekend and on to the next, you know. But now we're at HBO. No, HBO. Now we have our big deal with Viola Davis, which is amazing. She did the forward in one of my books, and I get to direct the live action feature for the first comic I ever wrote. And I'm directing the animated feature Afro anime that I'm producing with a South African production company. And it's just all going together now.
Absolutely. I love it.
Thank you.
Full of a story.
Thank you.
You've given me a couple things I'm going to come back to in a second, but I want to make sure how should I pronounce your name? I don't want to mess it up.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Manu. So elongated A. Like Afua, I'd probably say in the more Polynesian way. So if I say that incorrectly, please forgive me. Go ahead, Joy. What were you going to say?
I was going to ask about, I know you said you're a lawyer by day, yes. But was that your original plan? And how is that helping or hindering your heart's desire?
So Afua and I had the same. I was 6, though. I was a little bit older than her. There was a bully on that, and I'm probably the oldest one here because I hear you talking about the 80s, and I'm a 70s. So, you know that awful metal thing that spun out of control on the playground?
Yeah, I burned many a thigh. Yes.
Yeah, first grade, there's a bully. And, you know, he was saying that I was a loser and, you know, all this stuff. And he's like, what do you want to be when you want to grow up? You know, and so I said, the president of the United States. And so we have that in common. We're presidential sisters. But, yeah, that would never happen. We see what happened the last election. But anyway, internal racism, I get this all the time, well, from within my own family. So I really grew up believing that I was supposed to do what I was told from, you know, my mother's era where, I mean, they just got a credit card in 73, the right to an abortion in 74. I do not knock my mother's generation or prior to. They are why we're here today. I don't know. Having a daughter young, really just changed my focus. It was really good. I didn't care to be alive. When I found out I was pregnant with her, she changed my life. She gave me the value that I needed for myself to become a better woman. So at that point, it was more about scrappy survival and trying to still find joy in life, survive, and also advance myself so that my hourly rate, it was this simple, could mean more than working at the gas station or the mall. So I went for law. I understood at the time that was going to be to help people, but now I realize there's a different focus of the legal profession. But I'm in my 32nd year now, and I've worked in many different types of, how would you say, sectors. So I've got to see it all. I think it's actually provided the stability for me to be able to do what I do. My pivotal moment was when I decided not to resume the professional stage of Polynesian dance by touring. I toured the Midwest for 7 years. And when I returned to Southern California, I thought, okay, maybe I'll do that. The pay is good. I just hated to be on display constantly. And after this, I had my daughter and the body changes, right? I wanted to go back to martial arts, which I started when I was 9 years old. And it took a little while, but I found my teacher, and I had no idea that invite to watch the first class was pivotal to where I am today. I watched this class of about a dozen men who didn't breathe unless the teacher told them to. And there was a lot of profanity. It was just a carryover from my childhood. I felt very comfortable in that environment.
Huh.
And the teacher ended up being much nicer than my actual biological father. So I accepted and I excelled. Had I not walked up to that class that day, I wouldn't be standing here in this what we call kuleana, or responsibility of representing what I represent today. So that was the pivotal moment. There were many times where I felt like I wanted to quit. It was about a hazing period of 8 years, no joke. Lots of very serious injuries, but I never missed a class, even if I had to sit on the sideline because I was in a brace or my rib cage on the right side was broken. I still showed up and persevered. And after the 8 years, something shifted in one class where then he was accepting of me. And I think the rest of the men that I was growing up with in the Lua understood I was here to stay. So still fight with politics, obviously, as being the only woman, being mixed like Sebastian, not Hawaiian enough, not, not growing up on the
either world.
Yeah. So there's a lot of complications there, as well as gender. Even though I'm not 20, right? I have a lifetime of experience, injuries and training, and now also I teach. So had I not gone to that class and been invited to study and not dedicate myself, I wouldn't be here in this capacity today. So,
Mark, is there anything that you wanted to ask? Because otherwise, I'm going to ask one more question.
I got a few questions. From everyone's story, I hear that there was a struggle or an obstacle or challenge that you had to overcome that made you kind of pivot from your original dream to the next. What I want to know is, what did you learn about yourself from these struggles and challenges that you had to face to get to where you are now?
I love the contemplation on everybody's face. Like,
One thing I learned about myself was how much I was not willing to compromise.
Yes.
That what I wanted to do and the vision that was in my mind was a lot stronger than security, which a regular job would have provided. If I didn't make what it is that was in my heart and my head, I wasn't okay. It was almost like not digesting food. Like something would not allow me to just continue to do whatever it was that people thought I should be doing, or the safe way, or whatever the comfortable way is. I was told all the time, why don't you just pick one thing and stick to that? But even if I try to do that now, I've come to the realization that I am not a professional comic book artist. I'm a universal one. It doesn't matter if I'm singing in my kitchen or I'm making food. Everything that I make and everything that I do goes through the filter of art, which is basically finding my place in the world by, creating beauty, creating an environment, engaging senses, and doing things that helps me understand myself better, and hopefully someone else will understand that and feel that too. But not doing that, it wasn't an option. That I was willing to be uncomfortable, and even when I was homeless, and it probably would have been better to just, either go to a shelter or just get a regular job and just keep pursuing that and just stay there and try to stay, in financial security versus taking the risk.
Mm-hmm.
What I learned about myself was that if I was not taking a risk, then I was making myself sick by not living a fulfilled life.
I have to share just a piece of my story because I went to college for engineering, worked at NASA in the summers, like hardcore science tech nerd. And now I am a public speaker. I do like corporate culture consulting and cosplay and podcasts at all my spare time. But I remember specifically the first job I had coming out of college, maybe 3 or 4 years in, living in a small town in Tennessee, walking towards the building and getting sick. It was so bad, I didn't want to walk into the building. And I had that daily nausea for about 3 months before I just decided, you can't pay me enough money to make me crazy like this. I'm gonna just go live with my mom. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with having a job that makes sure that your bases are covered. And at every job that I had, I learned something different about how to be of service and how to, structure my own business. But at the end of the day, there was always a goal of this is temporary, being a part of someone else's team to structuring my own. That was always in my line of sight. Even if I had to stay someplace for a couple of years while I funded my own projects, while I got new gear, while I bought a computer, while I, got good enough to be able to charge to sustain my life. But in that interim, there was no staying here. I had to get to the next level of the video game. I haven't found the boss yet, but my HP and MP is pretty high.
Gotcha. I want to add to Mark's question because I heard from several of you, the history of living in my car, not knowing where my next meal is coming from, trading off, stability for self-fulfillment. And where did you find the audacity to push away the parents who tell you to just go get a good job, the friends who think that it's a pipe dream, everyone saying that this isn't a real thing that you want to do? How did you get past all the naysayers? And this is for anybody that wants to answer.
I'm going to jump in. It's in spite of. It actually is fuel because you're not going to tell me who I am and what I can do anymore. There comes a period in time where external noise, distraction, and these projections they just don't mean anything. It actually helps you buckle down and helps you gain additional clarity to know which way you should move. And then you're taking full responsibility for those decisions, and it really helps us become, I hate to say the word, but it's true, like this personally sovereign, where you realize you're independent regardless of what people think about you, what titles and roles and functions you have for others. And you really start to stand on your own and live just authentically. And that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I like that answer. Let your haters be your motivators.
They are, aren't they? Oh, man. And it's constant. So you have constant fuel. I'm just saying, yeah.
I kind of think that, I kind of look at it like this, where if I have $100 and my enemy has $1,000 or $1, I still have $100. So why do I care what my enemy has or is doing?
Mm-hmm.
If I have $100 and my friend has $1,000 or $1, surely I should wish for my friend to have $1,000 so I can support them and be happy for them. But I do often find it is our friends who are the most jealous and can come at an angle without even realizing that a lot of people have so much self-awareness that some of the bitterness can creep in and those types of things. But I'm very from the James Brown school of I got mine, I don't worry about his, that I need to focus on myself. So we kind of liken it with all the various dramas that we go through in this wacky industry, that we're in a little boat and there are these whirlpools that come up and they're all distractions. So you can get sucked into this whirlpool or sucked into this whirlpool, and just kind of stay the course for what moves your soul. I mean, I think the ladies, described it, so eloquently. It's nourishing for the soul, and you have to do it. I think one thing I found out for myself is I liked to pretend without realizing it was because I do love seeing in our booth, we have cosplayers coming up going, sometimes elders coming up crying, going, "Don't give up, young man. I never saw this when I was a kid. And you're doing this." And I sometimes say I'm about the same age as you are, but thank you, But there's a selfish desire, and it comes at a cost. So when people ask me what's the hardest thing, and I say, "Oh, it's time spent away from my family," it's more so it's their time that I'm sacrificing. So while I'm focusing on my dream, I don't believe in chasing dreams or chasing people. If they ghost you, they ghost you. That means they're dead to you. You work on your stuff, and dreams are work, right? It's get up and putting the work in. But it comes at the cost of, my son's mom said to me once, it's your morality with needing to protect your vision and your world to do good for the world is costing us the ability to sometimes pay rent, eat food. So how moral can I really truly be? So when I comes back to my vision or my creations and so on, and I have to truly take that to heart and honor, like I don't play this. This has to be, this is it. This is all in. Otherwise, I'm doing a disservice to my loved ones as well as my creations.
I just want to say, like, you guys are incredibly brave, because I think for me, my story comes from kind of the complete opposite side, where I have anxiety. Like, it's very easy for me to be scared of everything and to overthink everything. I go through every single possibility, and I always think like the worst thing is going to happen. And so when it came to like getting to where I am now, I started off doing everything the right way, which was like, I did really well in school. I went to Georgia Tech. I graduated. I met my husband. He worked his engineering job. I happened to be in a situation where I was able to at least get into the game company. I worked my way up, and I wasn't fulfilled, but I stayed because I was like, okay, this is what you wanted to do. This is what you said you wanted to do. This is what you set out to do. This was the plan. You need to stick with the plan. The plan should not change on a whim. And it was really hard for me to make that decision to pivot, to the point where it had to be made for me. Because up to that point, I was in a position, like, just being very honest, where people around me were like, "Why are you still here?" And I was very afraid to lose the stability of having that check come every 2 weeks. That was very, very scary. Even when I was making money with social media and stuff, I was still like, that's cool, extra money, I can save that. But I was very afraid of losing that stability. And I will say that, like, at least keeping that job for the period of time that I did was beneficial, in the sense that all the money that I saved from doing all my other stuff is what was our seed money for our business. So I wouldn't have been able to start my business if I hadn't done both at the same time. But once that started growing, it was still like I was really holding on to it for dear life and trying to do everything, and everybody around me could see me get burnt out. So until I was kind of pushed over the cliff, I'm going to be honest, like, I can't claim that I was necessarily strong enough to just go based purely on my passions, even with all the different things I had set up to make sure we were safe financially and all those things. Because my husband, like, he still has his job, like, we're fine, but it was still like, I need to contribute. I need to stick to what, I knew. And I was at least very grateful that the people in my life were all like, "Girl, you tripping, you're gonna be fine." And I'm still in the process of learning, right? Because I have officially been doing this stuff full time for 1 year and 3 months, and it's been a scary time. And I still have my days where I'm like, this month has been a little slower for me.
Yeah.
Like this past couple months been a little slower for me. And then you get a couple months where things are amazing, and it's like that gotta float you. And I'm still in the process of like getting used to those ups and downs. Consistency is something I like. I have a thing with control. I like controlling everything, and with this you can't necessarily control everything unless you just want to burn yourself out. So I am still learning and figuring stuff out. So when you say like, what did you learn about yourself, it's like I'm still learning about myself now. I don't know. I don't have like a clear lesson for you. I'm still trying to figure out, because I never thought that I was strong enough to do this. And I'm happy that I am now, and I've proven that I can. But I don't know if I never personally reached that point where I was like, yeah, F my dream that I've planned on doing my whole life. I'm going to do something different. I was like, I'm gonna do both for as long as I can. So I'm still figuring it out. I'm still, it's a growing, learning process.
If you don't mind, I'd like to commend you, because I hear you saying I never thought I could, but you are. You currently are. And, I didn't know if this was right. I mean, even God, the universe, and told them, pushed you out there like, girl, go do this.
Yeah.
And then to have people, because I'm hearing from, and I've experienced myself, other people naysaying and telling you this is never going to work. But the people around you told you, you're tripping, go do it. You can do this. And so, the universe, the cosmos, however you want to look at it, the powers that be made sure that you had the opportunity to go this way. And so I commend you for not rejecting all of that support, because some people would have been like, nah, I need a day job, I'm just gonna let go and forget and continue to self-flagellate for the rest of my life and something.
No, that's fair. That's fair. My circle is very important, just from my husband. He is my rock. He has supported me so much through this. My parents, grandparents, like literally, like the day I got laid off, I remember just being like, even though I had planned, I was like I'm gonna leave this job at some point, and I hadn't done it. So getting laid off was like, oh, okay. And I was in tears. I was crying. I unconsolable. Called my mom, and she's like, okay, you'll be all right. I was like, oh, all right. Thought you would get on to me for losing a job, but okay. Click. Call my dad. Hey, Dad. Oh my God, this stuff happened. He's like, okay, well, you doing good, right? Oh, you got a husband. You'll survive. I'm like, oh, okay. Click.
Why are you so calm?
Talk to my husband. He's like, we planned for this. You wanted to leave eventually, right? So we'll make it work. It's fine. And so I was very blessed to have people who believed in me and saw all the work I was putting in up to that point. And was like, okay, she is serious. She just needs to push. And everything, happens for a reason. I was also very thankful for when it happened too, because everybody got laid off while I was on a month-long vacation to South Africa. So they didn't lay me off till I got back. So I got 2 months as everybody else. So vacation, and then I was laid off. So it's fine. It's fine. It worked out the way it was supposed to.
And that was kind of the thing, that it sort of happened similarly for me too. I mean, during my lunch breaks, I was working on comic covers, but I didn't really fully commit until I was laid off, and I could have gotten another job. I had the opportunity to get another job. But I was just so tired of it. I was just tired of not making what I wanted. And at the point that I got laid off, I had the opportunity to create my first cover-to-cover comic, and I was just like, critical choice here. All right, so I'm gonna take the path that is still has a bunch of weeds on it. I have no idea what I'm doing, but
you're doing it well.
I'm not gonna learn until I try it.
Yeah,
the choices.
And if it doesn't work out, I can get the other job, or I can just try to find something else. But I gave it a shot, and I'm glad that I did. My father, he was an oil painter. I say was, he still kind of paints now, but he's a physicist. He worked on the Hadron Collider project when it was here in the States. He taught at West Point. He's a sculptor. and I never saw him paint. And so when I was younger and I was drawing, he was like, Afua, there's no place for us in art. So, there are a lot of artists who'll come up to me and say, well, my parents just don't get it. It's like, it's not that they don't believe in you. They don't believe in the path of art, because it isn't a straight and narrow one where you go to school and you come out on the other side with skills to not only create things, but have a creative business. And so there's a lot of gaps between the creative world and the business world that I feel sometimes are intentional. And there are a lot of schools who are bridging that gap.
Yeah.
But it ensures that the artists are taken advantage of, and they don't know how much to charge and to sustain their worth, because art is not a talent. It's a skill. A talent is you have a knack for something. A skill is when, it's a viable trade. And there's a guilt that's associated with charging for a craft, because it's like, well, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. It says no one on a deadline.
Right.
And so I like to help people make that transition from, like, okay, how can I do this? And speaking to comic book artists like Neil Adams, people who have a lot of, he's a person who was very outspoken about the rights of artists. He was very grumpy and people were afraid to speak to him. But I asked him, I was like, well, I'm not good enough or experienced enough. Not that I'm not good enough. I haven't been far enough along the path yet to receive the compensation that I need to live in an apartment in New York City. How can I get there and employ my passions? I didn't say that eloquently, but that's basically what I asked him. And he says, well, I work on commercial storyboards so I can draw Batman. I do it now. I will work on one commercial and that will sustain me for the rest of the year, but I do it because I love Batman. Do comics because you love it. Make stories that you love, share your experiences, share the things that you want to make, and find some way to sustain that. And then when you find when you find your audience, when you find those people who are willing to support you, throw everything that you have at it. But there are a lot of different ways to employ your passions. It doesn't always have to be the exact path that you think, because life will throw so many things at you that there are a lot of different ways. And if you have more than one skill, make sure that they support the other, so I thought that I just had to be a comic book artist and not a singer, but I'm working on a book now, Aquarius, the Book of Fire, which is way overdue, but I had to, handle some health stuff, and thankfully I'm on the other side of it. But now I've integrated it into my story. So if there's more than one thing that you want to do, find a way to make all of those things a part of the marketing. I know it feels yucky, like you're just advertising a product, but it's more like support beams for what it is that you want to envision. If your thing is, crochet plushies, make it for your comic. All the things that you can do right now, that's what you can do. It doesn't have to be this big production, because you're just one person right now. And that's okay. Like, people will come to you when it's from you and it's genuine. So, anyway.
I just want to add, a lot of things have been said that I've personally been going through. The anxiety that Cutiepie Sensei mentioned, it's definitely something I'm currently kind of dealing with. The whole concept of believing in myself and the stigma of, do I need this 2-week check for my job, or can I just believe in myself and make it on my own? As an artist, there's always been an internal struggle that I've had, and I wanted to know if any of you have it, for all artists here. Passion versus profit. Do something because you love it or because it pays the bills. As an artist, are we our own worst enemies sometimes?
Oh God, yes. Our hands never catch up to our vision. We always have these like amazing grand ideas, and then what comes out is just short. But you know what? That means that there's room for growth. It's not like, yeah, this is perfect. Okay, I'm the best thing ever. No, there's always going to be a gap between what you can do and what you envision. So that means that there's always room to evolve and change and expand. between you and this ever expanding vision, because you're changing all the time. Your experiences, your thought, your philosophy, hopefully for the better.
And I feel like that mindset, at least for me, I don't know how it works for you guys, but it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time. Because like I consider myself to be a little bit of perfectionist, and I'm very detail oriented, which is amazing when I am working on something like artistically. Like that means the details are going to look good. If I'm building a costume, it's going to look fantastic. But on the flip side, it means that I am never going to fully love it because I will always be able to find a problem with it. I will spend way too long. Something should be done. I'm like, no, I have to. Like, if people are like, it looks fine. I don't know what you're talking about. You're like, I can't. It's not. It's not good.
Haunts your dreams.
Yeah. So like, it makes you great. It's that thing that like it makes you great. And that's why your work is going to be good. But it also, you have to be careful and not let it hinder you and stop you from, one, saying something is complete and letting it go.
Yes.
And don't let it stop you from like potentially trying something new or making a change because you're like, I'm not going to be good enough. It's not going to be great enough. Like, because you got to get through that to get better. Like Afua was saying, it's like you're never gonna improve, like you're never gonna grow unless you do the thing and then you keep going. And it's really hard to not over like analyze it and be too much of a perfectionist, for sure.
Right. You are absolutely right.
Go ahead.
I want to comment on the last question because I wasn't able to answer it, but I think what Manu and Sebastian both said were both right. So I feel like as artists, we have to operate both with love and also with spite to fuel us. And what I mean by that is like, you can use spite as fuel, right? Throw the log in the fire if someone doesn't believe in you. But you also have to like be grateful for the ones that show up and actually support you as well. Because what my friend had told me is this, he's like, because I came from like this very like, angry mindset of, yo, once I blow up, like I'm gonna just like make everyone feel bad because they should have believed in me. And he was like, but what happens if they don't care? What's gonna happen? Are you gonna be happy if like you make all this money and success and like the people that you wanted to prove wrong are just like, what are you gonna do? And that kind of gave me an epiphany. It's like, okay, like I can use that as energy to kind of fuel me, but at the end of the day, it's really about the people I want to give back to, like, you know, like people that support me, my loved ones, my family. I feel like that's what you should do it for, and also love for yourself. So I think like going back to this current question, I feel like we tend to be our own worst enemies. I know I am. So I feel like being kinder to yourself, especially as artists, is like a really important task. You know, take the time to like really appreciate what you bring to the world and not just always like, you know, like give it out, but also kind of like validate yourself as well.
I'm so happy you said that. A previous guest on my show gave me this bit of advice that I've been struggling to take, but I am trying to take it. Shout out to Dr. Dana Holmes. But he said, we have to allow yourself patience. And that is something as an artist, as a creative, that it is hard for us to do because, like everyone said, we always either have deadlines or we got to be perfectionists. I've been doing art for like 30 years. And I think I created one thing that I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. I always find a flaw in something I do, or I don't believe in myself enough, or whatever the case may be. And I absolutely agree with what you just said there.
You know, one other discussion I want to have, and it's we've talked about it a little bit, but I want to put a point on it, and that is your support group. You know, who around you is lifting you up, letting you sleep on the couch, throwing your little money from time to time, you know, telling you not to give up, believing in you when you don't believe in yourself. What impact has that entourage or that group of people in your life? What impact has that? What difference has that made for you? If anybody can speak to like well, you know what? I will start with myself because when I first started being an executive coach, public speaker, etc., I had a friend of mine who's like, nobody needs you to do that because people go to this other person for that. They can go to a psychiatrist, or they can go to a pastor or a rabbi or whatever. And I don't know what made, well, I don't know where I found the audacity, but I was like, I don't even go to church like that no more. So they need to come to me. And I remember being told that I was wasting my engineering degree by wanting to do something that wasn't engineering. And I only ever got that engineering degree because they paid me to get out of Texas. That's why I went to college there. But how do you, now I have people, I remember my first clients. I remember, and I'm still friends with a lot of them. I remember people who, one of the first public speaking events I did, I couldn't make money from it because it was a nonprofit, but they gave me like the sandwich tray and the fruit tray when it was over, and I ate for a week on cold sandwiches and grapes. So, you do what you have to do. But I want to find out from you all, back to my thought is, what has your support group done to stand in the gap for you, as it were? Or do you have a support group?
I can jump in on this one. It's a little, maybe a bit different for me, owning a publishing company. I mean, maybe it's the same. I don't know. I'll just say from my own experience is, I think the support that I've felt like I've needed to have and hear is probably just from the people I only consider hearing from. But I have to be very, very guarded that, like, the person that supported me the most in so many ways was my mom and my two exes, and one is an ex, and my mom passed away, and my other ex passed away. So you kind of start to have to learn how to find that inner strength, like truly within, at least for me. And in my situation, I have staff members. And one person came to the booth and he's like, said, do you have a day job as well? And I said, no, this is my full-time work. I have kids, I have payments to make, I have staff to pay to make sure their bills are paid. So finding the support, I have a partner now who is very supportive, but I find it in the little things, in the quiet. In the things away potentially from the business, whether it's going for a walk in a rose garden, listening to a certain piece of music, escaping LA and going, for a walk in the mountains. I mean, for me, the support I find within the business, I rarely find I can find the support I need from the business. If I allow that, the business, even friends, within the business who I love dearly, it's been a little bit of uncertainty here and there, a little bit of drama now and again. So I just think find it within, whether it's through, your meditation, I try and find the voice within, but within my support group, I have a very teeny weeny family. So many of my family have passed on or different countries, and I just, so it's individuals that, like, I just did WonderCon, and the guys that helped me in the booth, I consider them as close as family as I've ever had. So those moments are wonderful, but sometimes for me, it's the away, right? So I've got this extra burden of responsibility where a lot of my team, my staff, they go like, if they look up to me as the captain of the ship, so it's at times potentially a dangerous place for me to be vulnerable or be, I can't slow down. There's a documentary being filmed on me right now, from the start of nothing, one comic book, and and we made history with Niobe being the first nationally distributed comic book with a black female author, artist, and hero, with Amanda Stenberg, co-writing it, and Viola Davis, and all these things. But you're not creating to do that stuff. You're creating to tell these stories. And then all the way up to HBO, it's about to get greenlit. Everything's going great, and then lose it all, and then nothing, and then you see certain people that have been supportive of you suddenly disappear, or talk mess about you online, or didn't even really have a deal. It's absolutely wild. So I think that, not to get all, sappy or whatever, but I find it within the quiet. I find it in the still moments with people that truly love me, that really know me, away from the business.
That's beautiful. I feel like we had a little moment of silence just for that.
No.
Like, yeah.
It's crazy. Like just to echo that, if you're looking for the support and the nourishment from, I would say, influencers or this or that, right? Like we have Viola Davis is producing The Untamed, which is kind of crazy. And then Nerdist, the lovely lady at Nerdist, Ty Gooden, did a wonderful piece on it. And I'm looking around going like, oh my God, all these people that have been supportive of Niobe and cosplayers and this and this and this and this. I'm like, where is this is a crazy moment. We've forged a real path with Stranger Comics and Niobe and what this character has done. And so if you're looking for the support within, you're in trouble. Just got to find it within here.
I have to say, if Jennifer Lewis is the mother of Black Hollywood, I have to say Viola Davis is turning into the rich auntie of indie art. She's gonna come with it, and I'm here for it. Mark, you said you had something to ask.
Yes, I want to go back to something Alan said in the first question that really, really kind of stuck with me. So I have the question I want to ask you now, and everybody can answer this, but I want to ask Alan first. You said that when you were doing music, people will tell you that you're Asian, and they don't know what to do with you. And I wanted to ask, now that you're in acting, now that you have songs and you have albums out, do you feel that you are in a better position now with how your dream has deferred to go back to your original dream versus how you started? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like, I never stopped doing music. Like, I still tour very heavily. Like 2024 and 2025, like both years, I hit like 20 cities. Like I did my own routing, and I'm still able to like do festivals and cons and stuff. But I think I just kind of fell out of love with the major label side of it. Like I just kind of told myself I don't want to be in the rat race. It was a very personal decision where I was just like, I want to make the music I want to make without having to be a content creator. Because like the way the music industry is shifting now is like, it's not about the music. Like, you have to do TikToks like 3 times a day, and you have to do like all these like clout-based things. I don't have. I'm getting older, man. I don't have that energy to try and like feel like that's right for me. And I feel like I mentioned before, like I do think that the irony is like with K-pop blowing up and like, there is like a lot of younger Asian like artists who are getting signed, and it's really bittersweet because I'm just like, if I was just 10 years younger, that would have been me. I wouldn't have to face the trauma, right? But I think like I believe that God has reasons, and so for me, it's like I'm comfortable with the decision, and also it's like if someone offers me something like like great and like not like sus, then I'll see what's up. But I feel like I want to, the way I see myself is like Hollywood actor, underground rapper, right? Like I make the music I want to make, like kind of like, like there's this guy in Stranger Things, the main guy. I read how he used his acting career to finance his own music career. And then my friend was like, this is literally you. Like, it's just like, I want to like make the stuff I want to make for my audience and people that are going to find me after you find out that I'm an actor and whatever. Like, and then I want to service that as opposed to like chasing the dragon and chasing this like dream of like, you know what I mean? Like this, that the labels will make for you. Like, cause like as some of the people that here that have done the music stuff knows is like, one, they're really shady. And two, like they want to mold you into something that you're not. the struggle for me is very specific as far as the things I didn't want to do to compromise. Like going into it, they were just like, hey, so have you thought about like, you know, rapping in your native language? Have you thought about going to China? Have you thought about, everything was very much Orientalism for me. It was like, oh, maybe we'll just throw a gong in your songs. What we can do is you sprinkle a little bit of a, it was for me, it just felt very dehumanizing. I'm just like, you don't see me as a human at all.
I am so sorry you have had to go through that. Like, that is crazy.
Yeah. So, so because of, okay, so it's like this, man. Like I am aware that the globalization has opened the market, right? But I think because of my own traumas with the music industry, like I don't know if I want to walk down that path again in those doors and hear the same words. Like, have you thought about being more foreign? Have you thought about being more, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if I want to subject myself to certain traumas. You know,
I totally get that. And again, it goes back to that idea of there being some sort of formula, you know,
right, exactly
this way, and it doesn't. And I
think
here's
the sad thing though, is like there is a lot of younger Asian rappers that are doing the things that I didn't want to do, and they're going viral for like the wrong reasons. I don't know if it's the wrong reasons, but reasons I don't like. The whole like wearing the straw hat with the katana and like eating ramen while rapping. There's a lot of these like gimmicks that like is working, and so it's like I can just see the labels that like I said no to looking at me like I told you it will work. And that's the sad part is like our like the internet runs off of that stuff, and I just don't want to say myself to being a clown. I don't want to be part of it.
Couldn't agree more.
100% support that decision, because I think about just since I'm a Black woman, I got a lot of Black history knowledge, and I think about the minstrelsy that happened before and how we are ashamed of what went on, and then how it informs other people's opinions and ideas of what it means to be a Black American. And, you know, aren't y'all all just sitting over there just shucking and jiving and blah, blah, blah? No, absolutely not. And then having to have 3 times as many artists come and combat that one person that says something crazy. Don't be that guy or girl. And so I commend you for standing up for that, because I think viral stuff happens, and you know it's cute or interesting or entertaining, because it's not educational, but entertaining in the moment. But then it fades. But the internet is forever, and so when you want to shift and do something, people will pull that back up on you, like, oh, remember, is this you? Right? I see that all the time, and I love that you don't have that in your background, because you've always stood for what you wanted to be. And I interrupted again. I'm gonna be quiet. And Mark, give you a chance to finish your questions.
No, Alan, that was wow, so insightful right there. But if anybody else can relate to that question, feel free to answer.
So 20 years ago or so, being a Black belt, I got offered a spread in Playboy, where it would obviously use the culture as well. So flowers and anything Hawaiian and Filipino, right, all around, and just my Black belt on. So talk about defilement of dedication and coming up in an environment which was toxic male dominated, I would say. Very few very healthy men teaching women back in that day. So that was one way. I have an Allen-esque type of parallel. I just thought, it's good to talk about, because Joy, if I would do it, you're saying, is this you? Yeah, that would have been me. But I think that also having a young daughter at that time, I'd have to explain to her, Mom. And that really kept me honest, of like, she's going to grow up, and not, I'm all for women's empowerment, but I don't think that's a way to perform. When you're performing for men, I don't think that's truly women's empowerment. So that would have been on display for them. But others can have different types of moral guidelines and markers. That was just mine. So
right. So like if Cardi B decided to do that, that's on brand for her.
Yeah, that's on brand. Exactly. But not for me. Not when I'm representing warrior women that still don't have a true voice in our country, let alone in the world. So yeah. Thanks, Alan, for jogging my memory.
It's kind of the difference between creating an archetype and a stereotype, where you get to be told by someone else what it means to be you, where in essence you're being rewritten. You're being told that all you are within the parameters of this box, and you can't do anything else because that's not being authentic. And when the reality is, the cool thing about, being an individual who either understands their cultural history or has a composite of so many different elements of what makes them them, not only their heritage but their culture. I mean, it's different where you grow up, how the things that you've experienced, the things that you've allowed into your life to influence you and mold you into the person that you are. And now you're taking those influences and putting them back out. That it can be funneled in through a marketing machine, but you end up cutting your arms off to fit into this little box.
Yes.
And there's so much more to you, and there's so much more to being you that can be expressed. Like, look, you can be a warrior and a philosopher. You can be a poet and a pilot. Like, the parameters and those boxes are set by limited perspectives of what it actually means to be you. And artists who actually have longevity, we're talking about people who've created things that outlive them, they weren't necessarily concerned with what was already being done.
Right.
They were dedicated to saying, like, yeah, you know what? I want to make what's missing, and I want to make what I like. I want to make what's, what, like, I am willing to sit here and go down the rabbit hole on. And that's not going to be dictated by someone who, it's not that you can't get insight from people from a corporate perspective. There is some, there is something to be learned from every, facet of creation. People sort of look at the business aspect of creation and think that it's a negative thing. It's just when it tries to contort you into something that you're not, or saying that who you are as you are and how you choose to express it is not marketable, then it's really creating a limitation on the complexity of what you are by making you down to this little pejorative kind of symbol.
And shallow. Like, the fact that so many executives in different commoditized artistic spaces think that it has to be this way and you have to have this story, and they're dumbing it down for an audience that is actively
authenticity.
Yeah.
You know what I thought about is like, I'm just in my last thought, and I don't want to take up too much time, but I think what's weird about this is, like, we get othered, right? So it's like, as Asians, you get foreignized, you get this like Oriental vibe about you. As Black creators, you have like, there's like all these elements of, you have to be hood, you have to be urban, you have to have fit, like trap, whatever. And then it's like, if you're white, it's like you get to be Goldilocks, you get to have everything. It's like this, it's like you can break out of this, like, whatever confines that we have, you get to not deal with that. You know what I mean? And I feel like true freedom as artists is like not having to sit in this little box where it's like, you can only do this if you are this color. And I feel like that's really kind of like the struggle of like being like a full self. Like, I really love what Afua said about archetype versus stereotype. It's like, if you build your own archetype, it expands beyond like whatever they see of just you as, whether your gender, class, or whatever, that's just strictly your signature.
Right. It's fear. It's fear. It's basically saying like, well, there's no way that the combination of you can work. We've seen this formula work before, so let's go with that.
Right.
And it's just like, I understand your concern, but I'm going to try something different.
Every time I go into a studio meeting, they go, this is really timely. And I go, it's always been timely. This is not timely, it's timeless.
Right? Yes, exactly.
It's so wild to me. I think, so that's what I always say every time. Like, really timely. It's always been timely. We're not timely. We're timeless.
Right, and the timelessness of it, I think.
See if they kind of if they get it, and they're like, yeah, but okay. But I also think too, there's a couple of things I want to say. Is when we're finding these moments, right? Like in the day of today, in the now of today, versus let's say us 10 years ago, or us 20 years ago. Allowing us to have the grace for ourselves for the decisions we made 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I mean, I'm going to butcher the quote, but Malcolm X says, "Don't be in such a hurry to condemn those who don't think like you do or act like you do now. because there once was a time you don't think or act like you do today.
Yeah.
So always allowing ourselves to have the grace for others that might make those quick decisions to pay the bills, or they're distracted by the fame or the moment or the likes on Instagram, which I always thought Instagram was genius with the concept of saying followers. You're creating false prophets and idols going, who are you following? These are my followers, right? And I say, like, there's a line I wrote, it's like, a leader is not measured in followers, but in the demons they have the courage to face, right? Whether it's the ones out there or the ones within. So for me, there's a thing where I've kind of come to the realization at 52, at having Stranger Comics for 17 years and the 3 years building up to it and all the dramas and things, is to say, if Niobe or any of these other projects that I have never get it to the screen, it never essentially what I would have considered earlier has made it, right? Because everyone else that has dropped off when HBO went away, or these various things like, oh, I guess it never happened. I guess you didn't make it. I'm like, I'm able to put food on the table through my art. To me, that's success. And if I can fan the flames for somebody else to come along and forge a greater fire, that they might have been inspired by some of my work, and they get on TV, and then that becomes a thing, then I would say, I've done good. So it's what do you measure? Making it success, it's got to be kind of the art for within yourself. If I can pay the bills and sell a comic book, I'm all right.
Yeah. I constantly tell people money doesn't buy happiness. It buys survival and sometimes convenience, but it doesn't buy happiness. And so if you're not doing something that makes you happy, eventually you are slowly desiccating yourself, Afua, you said, I like the imagery you gave about cutting off your arms to fit in the box, because squishing yourself, contorting yourself, that's reversible. Cutting off your arms, you have lost a piece of yourself to fit in that box. And I think it's important to, at least for me, it's important to phrase it that way so people understand the sometimes irrevocable decision that you're making when you decide to compromise your morals, your values, etc. I'm not saying, negotiate a deal. I'm saying when you doing something doesn't sit right with you for temporary gain, what have you cut off to get in that box? And I'm not saying that some people won't make that choice and be okay with it. People do it all the time. But just thinking it through, I think, is important.
And then also the concept of making it. I went to performing arts school where a lot of the people around me, they were in the industry with me. I was a freshman when Khalees was a sophomore. And just the people who were around, Stevie Wonder would come into Samash Music where I worked when I was in my early 20s and try out keyboards. Common would come in, Method Man, just sort of being in their space and seeing how much work it took to be them. There was a big gap between me and them, obviously, but I was a working musician. I worked, I had a day job, but I was performing, I was touring, I was traveling, and I kept having this idea like, I haven't made it, or I failed as a musician. But I got to travel the world. I got to do what it is that I wanted to do. And there's always going to be something to work towards, but I didn't appreciate the road that I was on. I got to share a stage with Sheila E. This is Prince's drummer. I had to remember to sing. The woman was incredible, or just, seeing Bjork come from, karate class, like seeing the people who make the things that I love, just living their lives. And it's just like, well, what am I doing? I got a chance to work with Sir Melvin Van Peebles. And if you don't know who that is, he's a father of Mario Van Peebles, the, like the 90s action star, but he was a soldier who was sent to France. He learned French. He got himself a camera and he started making films when there were no black leads that were not maids and butlers and very
service level
roles. he just wanted to make a story about life. And when I would speak to him, I didn't really know very much about him. I was in a Broadway show with him. It was a 3-man show, and we would rehearse at his place. It was me, a guitar player, and Melvin. I'm looking around. He's got like Emmys and Grammys as paperweights, and I'm just like, man, I should probably start asking some questions. We were working on this play, and he's like, I like graphic novels. I think I'm going to make a graphic novel. And he just starts making one. He didn't know music. He understood the space between notes, intervals, like do, re, mi, fa. He would number them. He would compose music that way because knowledge wasn't going to be a barrier for him. He was just like, he was going to figure out how he was going to learn how to do the thing that he wanted to do. So I asked him, I was like, Melvin, has anyone told you to just pick one thing and be very good at that? And he says, yes, of course, all the time, because it's difficult. They have the same 24 hours in the day. If being an artist and being a musician or a singer or a filmmaker or, a seamstress, whatever it is that you want to do were easy, like walking and talking on the phone, then no one would have anything to say about it. But because you dare to try it, they don't want to be made out to look bad. They're expressing their own doubts about themselves onto you. Because a person who is successful in their path, they can maybe not have the same vision as you, but they can understand how you might get there. So be careful about the people that you have around you, that if they're not offering creative solutions and just critique, then it might just be weight. And it's not that you throw the friend out with the bathwater, but sort of create concentric circles of friendship. Those people who make you feel bad more often than not, keep them on the outer circle. That everybody doesn't have to be in the same room with you all the time, because your creative energy is very important. And you have to be really, really careful with your space, because people who say that they care about you might start telling you things like, well, you're not really that good. You're just a diversity hugger. You're this. Because they are afraid of your success. They don't actually want to see you do well. And they don't want to see you get better than them. That's right. They don't want to see you get better than them. But someone who truly loves you. Like
I'll also add, they don't want to put the work in either. But they don't want to see you do better.
They don't want to see you do it. They're like, look, I don't feel like doing it. And I don't think you should.
I don't want you to do it either.
Right. Because then I'll have to do it. Be here in that misery loves company sort of scenarios. But once you start, making sure that your core group of people, have your interest, not yes men, not people who are just gonna like, you're great, keep going, like regardless of what you do, but the people who will remind you of who you are when you forget.
I
need those all the time.
I'm looking at the time. So, Mark, you had one final shotgun round robin question you wanted to ask everyone, right?
Yes. So before we end the show, we talked a lot about failure and adversity and overcoming challenges. I want to talk about failing forward. That's not getting what you got, but you learn how to do something else to further yourself. Have any of you failed forward into your careers to get to where you are now? If that question kind of makes sense, because I think I kind of am a master of doing that.
Sort of like, did you slip into something? Like I usually hear people say, I fell into this by accident, or I ended up here, not sure how I got here, that kind of thing. So anything along the way like that?
I mean, that was definitely me in cosplay. Like, it was one of those things where I literally, I didn't actually want to make a social media profile or anything at all. I was doing it just because it was fun and it was this cool thing. I was just like, all right. Everybody kept asking me to post my stuff online. It was like, hey, you should start a page. I'm like, okay, I guess. I don't know who's gonna care about this. I have 500 followers. Like, what is the point of posting these? But yeah, whatever. And then I I was just posting like work in progress stuff and just random things. I wasn't planning out content or nothing like that. I was just posting. And slowly but surely my page kept growing, and I was like, I don't know why any of these people are here. And it was a weird time because at the time there weren't really many like well-known Black cosplayers in the space. There just weren't. So I was kind of posting into a void because I was just like, look, I like this. I don't really see other people online doing it like that look like me, but whatever. I'm just gonna do it. So I don't know if I would call it failing for it, but it was just one of those things where I literally fell into it. If you had told me back when I was graduating college, if you had told me like, hey, guess what? You're gonna be a professional cosplayer and people are gonna know you for making costumes and stuff, I'd be like, what? Why? I don't understand. Because I had to teach myself how to sew and stuff. It's just kind of like skills and things that I developed over time just because I enjoyed it. And I don't know, you just never know where life is gonna lead you, man. Like it just kind of happened. Because people ask me, it's like, oh, how do you grow a page? How do you become like, I don't know. I just did it. And then I just kept doing it. And then it turned into a thing. Yay. I
think another big part of it is, and I've heard this from all of you, is a desire to be true to yourself. Like, I'm doing this because I like it.
Yeah.
And then you find, and then people that also like it find you. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, if we can, I'm gonna ask you one more question, and you can say nothing, you can say everything, or anywhere in between. But if you had it to do over again, and not like now, like, oh, if I knew then what I know now, if you had it to do over again, starting from where you started, what would you change, if anything? Afua, look at your face. Like, for me, I wanted to be an actress when I was a little kid. And if I could change one thing, I would have gone to a fame school, like a performing arts school instead of science. Don't know where that would have taken me. I'm happy with my life now, so I don't regret my choices and everything. But yeah, that's something I might have changed early on in my life. Anybody else?
I got you. This is going to sound weird, but I would have not gone to college. And the reason why I said that is because I went to the Art Institute of Atlanta in the VRI. Take that at how you will. Want to be a media arts and animator and do comics and stuff. That didn't happen. And the other to be a video game designer and programmer. That didn't happen. I do photography and video stuff now. I could have just jumped into just doing that.
Very true.
I probably would have gotten into music production and not try to explain my vision to record labels. Just made it myself. But music production has changed so much from like big studios to home personal studios. So I would have learned something that would have become obsolete, but just the skill of being able to make my own, I would have maybe not have tried to pursue the path. But I don't know if I would be who I was if I didn't. So yeah. I would have taken those piano lessons.
I'm pretty comfortable with the path that I took, even with all the bad things that might have happened, even all the struggles that may have happened. I think those experiences helped me grow as a person and become who I am. I don't think I would be where I'm at if I made any different decisions. And I am happy with that.
Good.
So all the stuff I would just have to just suffer again, but I know I can make it out okay, so I'd be fine. I don't think I'd change.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like I always complain to my friends and I always say like, I wish like I would have just started acting earlier and moved to LA, but I feel like I probably would have got burnt out really fast too, like when I was younger. So I feel like much like what Jasmine said, like I feel like there's no point in looking back because it's like everything that we encountered and overcame made us who we are, and it's like you can't change that, and like those lessons that we learned, like it's like those are priceless, right? And I feel like sometimes you what you don't realize in the moments, that's what you really needed to level up. So.
Very good point.
Very insightful.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm kind of like Afua with I wish I'd done more piano lessons. I wish I'd, spent more time in the creative, less on the business. It's been a very hard juggling act, honestly, to write stories, create, run the company, business things, drive a truck, load a box, back to creating, sweep the floor, sell at a convention. Just the balancing act has been really, really difficult, honestly. I think there's a line I wrote in The Untamed that says, regret lingers longer than sin. And so I try not to have any regrets, and try not to focus on the sins of my youth or my past. But if I was to look back, I can say I spent too much time focused on trying to save people in my personal world, or get distracted in this and focus more on myself. I think it'll be a little bit easier, But some of these stories, kind of like what Alan's saying, the stories that I wrote came later in life, and I needed to endure what I endured to write the stories I've written today. I do have one quick question, and just to throw it out there to Jasmine. At some point, I'd be honored if you cosplayed Niobe, and I don't know how to go about that.
Let's talk. We'll exchange info. We'll have a conversation. We
I'd
got
be
it.
super psyched. And by the way, just to also let you guys know, Afua did one of the very first ever renditions of Niobe. So I've known Afua for many, many years, and she is an absolute gem and treasure. Yeah.
Well, we actually are a little bit over our 90-minute goal. I know that we asked you all to be here with us for about an hour and a half, and so I'm not going to drag this out because I could talk to y'all all night. And our audience is loving it. Thank you for everyone that is watching with us. But I want to make sure before we go, I know some of you have your call signs, whatever you call them, on screen, but tell everyone where they can find you if they want to follow you, follow your journey online. I see, we'll start with you. Mm-hmm.
You can find me at afuarichardson.com or on Instagram at afua_Richardson.
Hi, you can find me at strangercomics.com. Jasmine, you can find me at strangercomics.com or at strangercomics on any social media. You will be hearing from me on your IGs. And I have a Kickstarter going right now where we're around 89,000, kind of exciting. And even though we got shadow banned on the first 2 days, you couldn't find it anywhere. So the only people that have been supporting have our direct link, which I just popped in the chat. But it just goes to show Stranger Community is pretty mighty. Literally, you search Stranger Comics, you still can't find us if you search Stranger Comics. We are on no landing page on the first 2 days launch. So
that's crazy.
You want to get this. You actually want to get a graphic novel or a comic book that looks like this. Beep. There you go. You can. That's what we have cooking right there. Mm-hmm. Kind of beautiful.
Alan.
So you can find me on all socials at Alan Z Music, just like the way it's spelled, ALANZ Music. So my music can be found on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, if you search Alan Z, like it's spelled here. And like I said earlier in the stream, I'm in the new Boots Riley movie, I Love Boosters, starring Keke Palmer, Demi Moore, Lakeith Stanfield, and a bunch of other A-list celebs. So this is my first Hollywood project that I
Congratulations, bro. That's huge. That's so huge.
Yeah, thank you. I'm super proud of the fact that I was able to land this job, and like this is only the beginning. So anyways, like, I would love for anyone here to watch the movie. It comes out nationwide and in Canada May 22nd. And so thank you for having me.
And Jasmine.
Yes. I am Cutiepie Sensei pretty much everywhere, the way it's spelled on screen. And my clothing business, honestly, it's tagged on all my socials too. So if you go to my page, you'll find it. But if you want to find it by itself, it's Firaxwear. The X is silent. Like I said, we have a new licensed collection coming out very, very soon. So
I want to get some.
If you follow your page or follow the page or sign up for our email list, you will be the first to know because our stuff does sell out kind of fast. So I suggest signing up so you don't miss out. And yeah.
Nice. And bring us home.
Okay, I'm bringing this home. Michelle _Manu on IG and YouTube, Michelle Manu or Kumu Manu, and my website is right here. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor to be with all of you.
This has been, I have to say, probably, if not our best, in our top 2 shows. And so I just thank you all for an engaging conversation, a lot of insight, a lot of quotes, a lot of one-liners. This is one for the history books for Blerdography and the Moana Nui podcast. And just want to thank you all for being so open and so willing to share pieces of yourselves with us, you know? And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mark.
Thank you,
Mark. Again, thank y'all so much. Everyone is so beautiful and talented and amazing in their own right. Again, I can listen to everyone for hours. Because I can listen to all of you for hours, I would like to just formally welcome all of y'all to come back on the show, have your own solo interviews, and we can just dive deep into so much. Afua, I first saw you at DragonCon this past year, and oh my God, when you make a comic for your life story, let me know. I'll give you my adult money right now. Alan, every con I get to see you, I love seeing your growth and just everything that you're doing. You know, I've been a fan of yours since we first met. Sebastian, I look forward to reading Niobe and more of you, more of your projects. Cutiepie, thank you so much. I have always been a fan of your cosplay. You look so amazing in everything that you do. But and Manu, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Just to personally thank each of y'all individually. But for everybody else that is watching, if you have not, please leave a like on these videos on either channel that you're watching on and subscribe to that channel. And if you have not, please become a channel member. That helps a lot that helps the channel go a long way. Sorry, getting a little tongue-tied. But please go ahead and just subscribe to us. We have Dream Deferred Part 2 coming up. April 27th. We have new guests coming on. We're going to continue this very insightful conversation. And in between, we have 2 other shows coming out. So if you haven't, just go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah. Need somebody tonight, yeah. I love it how you move it, how you wind it up. We can jump into it, we can line it up. We can stay slow with you, me. We can stay slow with you, me. Yeah. Need somebody tonight, doing that dance, digging that dance. I love. Need somebody tonight, be somebody tonight. Pull up on me. We've got so much to see. Maybe I can show you around. Lay your top with the top down.